Hey guys, my name is Fabio Fleitas. I'm the technical co-founder at Tesorio, and I'm going to be talking to you about Python package management using PIP-Tools. So before we talk about PIP-Tools, let's talk about how Python package management is done today. So one of the things that I'm going to just assume that everyone is familiar with is the tools of the trade. So PIP, you're using virtual-env to manage your virtual environments, and obviously your requirements.txt to put your pinned dependencies. So one of the most common ways that people will put their top-level dependencies would be putting their top-level dependencies in a requirements.txt. So if you need a particular version of Django or a particular version of your requests library, you just pin it at the top of your requirements.txt, and then you just run pip install -r requirements.txt. So that's the issue with that really is that this is non-deterministic now. So if you run pip install today and you run pip install a year from now, you may actually be installing different versions of sub-dependencies for this. And this is a problem, especially when you're dealing with teams. Having different versions of your dependencies while developing can cause issues, especially if you're deploying on a team. So one of the most common solutions for that is actually just freezing your entire install onto your requirements.txt file. And so what that does is it creates a big requirements.txt file that has the top-level dependencies as well as the sub-dependencies. And the issue with that is now it makes your life much harder to deal with if you're ever having to need to upgrade your dependencies or even remove a dependency, because now you may not know which was a top-level or sub-dependency. So what I'm going to try to convince you now is the solution is PIP-Tools. And PIP-Tools is actually pretty great. So all you have to do is run pip install PIP-Tools, and it's just two things. It is pip compile and pip sync. So let me explain each one. So for pip compile, all you have to do is create a requirements.in file. And here you should only include your top-level dependencies, the same way that was in the first approach. And once you have your requirements.in file, all you have to do is run pip compile requirements.in. And what that does is it creates for you a requirements.txt file. It compiles it for you, the same way that it does when you run a pip freeze. It actually gives you a couple of nice things. It actually tells you which ones are sub-dependencies and actually which ones created that sub-dependency. As you can see, the via requests or via Django extensions. I think it's pretty nice. And so if you ever remove or upgrade your any of the dependencies from your requirements.in, it'll automatically compile it for you. That's pretty great. So finally, pip sync. Pip sync ensures that your virtual environment is synced with your requirements.txt and removes everything else. This is especially important when you're just pip installing some files and you forget to pip uninstall files. Obviously very important when you're working on a team and want to make sure that everyone's virtual environment has the exact same dependencies and dependency versions. And so once you've compiled your requirements.txt with pip compile, all you run is pip sync requirements.txt, and it removes everything that isn't in your requirements.txt and makes sure that all the versions are up to date. And so kind of as a big summary, this is a good, I think, visual explanation of how this works. Basically, you create your requirements.in file. You run pip compile on it. It goes and fetches everything and creates your compiled requirements.txt. And you finally run pip sync on it to sync it all up into your virtual environment. And I hope that convinces you to use PIP-Tools instead of just running pip freeze or any other alternatives. Again, I'm Fabio from Tesorio, and we're hiring.
Thank you.